It's finally happening. The Chicago Bulls play Matas Buzelis, and he shines in tonight's loss versus the Dallas Mavericks. We're going to be talking about Matas Buzelis and the key takeaways from tonight's game. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so today, the Chicago Bulls lose to the Dallas Mavericks 99-119. It was an absolute beatdown, but there were some key takeaways from this game. And let's start with, I think, the real bright spots from today's game, and that is going to be Matas Buzelis and Dalen Terry. And so I'll start with Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry, I think he played with a lot of energy, definitely shows you exactly why the Chicago Bulls should be excited with Dalen Terry. I think that him and Julian Phillips have really taken the step this year as Billy Donovan has given them minutes. And I like the chippiness that Dalen Terry plays with. And tonight, 10 points, he had 4 rebounds, he had an assist, he had a steal, he was +3. He did have 3 turnovers, but the team really was terrible as far as turning the basketball over tonight. And at this point in time, it's all about the young players. It's all about developing them. So I am not even concerned about the 3 turnovers. I'm more concerned about the effort that I saw from Dalen Terry, and he was an absolute bright spot for the Chicago Bulls. Next up, Matas Buzelis. Look, he has got to play. I don't know what it is going to take for him to get minutes every game from this point on, but he needs to be on the roster, not in the G League. He needs to be playing minutes every night, because at this point, Matas Buzelis shows you once again that if you give him an opportunity, he absolutely is going to run with it. Tonight, 13 points. He had 9 rebounds. He had 1 block. He had 2 steals. He was 3 of 4 shooting the ball from downtown tonight, so he really had it going there. And he only had 1 turnover. And guess what? He played 23 minutes. Just like Patrick Williams played 23 minutes, and we're going to talk about that. But anyway, Matas Buzelis, again, comes out. He really shows you that he has the skill set to definitely be a contributor in this league. I think it is all about playing him. It's all about giving him experience. And the one thing that I loved about Matas Buzelis is it wasn't perfect. There was a time that Klay Thompson just ran by him and got a layup, and he lost his man in transition. There was a time where he passed it to Jalen Smith, and he stood there versus cut. I think 2 players were in the same position at some point. I think it was maybe him and Giddey or whoever was on the floor. So, yes, he did have those moments where he was just kind of standing there trying to figure it out. But as time went along, I love the fact that he was able to figure it out. And throughout the throughout the broadcast, really, with Stacey King, he says, look, I am willing to live with him making mistakes out there on the court. It is just a matter of him playing hard, which is something that we constantly see with Matas Buzelis. So I've got to give him a ton of credit with everything that has been going on and the nonsense of possibly sending him down and then bringing him back up, finally playing him, and he shows just how locked in and ready that he is. And so as we move forward and we look at this box score, which is just a mess when you look at this thing, because look at the box score, you're just going to see that it was just absolutely terrible when it came down to it. I mean, the turnovers were terrible. We had 22 as a team, and then you just see that in the starters, man, just the plus minus was terrible as well. But going into Patrick Williams and talking about that, and I just left off with Matas. Patrick Williams plays 23 minutes tonight. He has 8 points. He has the 6 rebounds, the 1 assist, but 4 turnovers again. And this is where, again, Patrick Williams really struggles with putting the ball on the deck. I don't know what it is. And I think at this point, the way this offense is constructed, he should be in places where he can just simply catch and shoot and knock down the 3-point shot, or at least have a good opportunity at it. And the fact that that hasn't become more consistent is just been a bit more disappointing, I think, this season. But I will give him credit. Defensively, I like what he does bring to the team, and there are a lot of things that just simply don't show up in the box score. But at some point, look, I've said this before, the Chicago Bulls are not going to make it out of the Eastern Conference this year, and I seriously don't see this as a team that is literally going to win a 7-game series. And so even if they get out of the play-in situation, which I think that they are squarely headed to, there is no way that they are going to advance. And so this is all about the younger players. And if you've invested into Patrick Williams, I'll say it one more time with him, that he has literally got to wake up this season, because when you see stats from Matas Buzelis, who is behind you, who Billy Donovan has mentioned as a player that is competing for that spot, and you see what he gets with this opportunity, Patrick Williams has got to realize this. And I think, and also too, Billy Donovan has got to realize this as well, that look, there are players that are ready to go, and you're going to have to trust these younger players and understand that it is not all about just winning games this season. And so as we push forward and we look a little bit further into this game and just the disaster out there, look, the Dallas Mavericks got anything that they wanted to get. I mean, when you look, we got dominated with points in the paint yet again. You see that we lost that battle 56-44. The Mavs win with points in the paint. And so that's a bit ridiculous when you're scoring just about 60 points a game there. And it's even more ridiculous when you look at the fact that they did not even shoot the three-point shot very well. And they shot close to, 48% today. And so that is just very disappointing. I think defensively, we did not come out with the right effort. And so, I mean, there's just not very much to say here. I mean, this was just terrible. You look at the shooting percentage from the three-point area for us today, 28.6%, which is a disaster today. And then, we didn't have that many assists, and I talked about the 22 turnovers. I mean, this was just a terrible game all around in this aspect. I mean, the starters did not play very well. And I think the story of the game, just for me, it was the younger guys, because look, Matas Buzelis definitely played well. Dalen Terry played well. I think THT played well. Even Chris Duarte, who came in garbage minutes, he even showed us that perhaps he might need to get some minutes. And that is something that Stacey King talked about in the broadcast as well, is that Billy Donovan needs to figure out ways to get these players minutes, because look, you have a high usage rate up with Vooch. I understand that he's getting it done for you. I understand that you have a high usage rate up for Zach LaVine, but are you building with those players? Are those players part of your future? Because if they are, so be it. But I don't think so. I think that you have these younger players, and you cannot continue on this season and then go into the next season, and you do not know exactly what you have with these players. And so, look, this leads me to my last rant with Matas Buzelis. I am sitting here and I'm looking at other games on League Pass. I'm looking at Ron Hollins II. I'm looking at the #1 pick from Atlanta. I'm looking at Alex R. And I'm looking at I'm looking at Bub Carrington. I'm looking at all these rookies, and I'm saying to myself, what is it that they have done or have shown that Matas Buzelis we're not seeing that? And the answer is, it was nothing. The only difference between Matas Buzelis and these other rookies is they're actually getting minutes. And this whole notion that Matas Buzelis is going to hurt his confidence, let me tell you how strong it shows me that his confidence is. He was only getting 5 minutes a game, and you had assigned him to the G League. You put him back up there. He hasn't been doing very much of anything. You give him an opportunity today, and he absolutely ran with it. So that just tells me, from a confidence standpoint, he has to believe in his ability and skills. You just need to give him the opportunity. And lastly, I love what Casey Johnson had to say during the broadcast as well, where he goes, look, he is not playing, but don't get it twisted. He's out there putting in the extra work, because you don't get a whole bunch of practices in the season, So there's not a whole bunch of time to practice. So he's out there putting in the extra work. He's putting in the film session, which is what I talked about before too as well, and looking really at his flaws and where he's getting knocked off by the physicality and things like that, and how can he get better as a player. So he is ready to go. The only only thing that is holding him back from becoming the player that he needs to become is the Chicago Bulls. They need to play this young man. And so with that being said, look, we look terrible. We are going to have another game against a tough opponent, and that is the Timberwolves. We already know what that team has and how tough it is going to be. But let me know in the comments, what is your biggest takeaway from tonight's game? I'd love to hear what that is. And I just want to thank everybody out there for liking, sharing, and subscribing. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers before the season ends. And look, even though it was an absolute disaster of a game today, I love this. I love the fact that Billy Donovan played a younger player that we absolutely needed to play. And I think that other younger players need to play because, look, this is about player development. How are you going to go to the contract or negotiation table with Josh Giddey, build around him, and he's not even getting a chance to play with the players that you're supposedly looking to build upon? So anyway, even though clearly you can see that the Chicago Bulls have still got to pick a path with what direction they want to go with this franchise, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.